Alright, so today we're going to be talking about color management and setting up your files in Photoshop for printing at your local lab. So we're going to start off by going File, New. You'll be prompted with a dialog box, and the first thing you want to check is your resolution. That's probably the most important thing and one of the easiest things to check and make sure you have dialed in. 300 is the minimum. You definitely don't want any less than 300 resolution. If you do have a file with 300 or less, check your local lab to see what they recommend. They'll give you a few options. You may not be able to go as big as you would like if it's less than 300. If the file is more than 300, if it's 400, 500, 600, that's typically not a problem. Definitely if it's less than 300, you may not be able to go to the size that you would like. So you can check with your local lab on that. The next thing that you want to check is your color mode. For RGB color, that's probably the standard of what you're going to want to be working in. There's also grayscale if you have black and white images. Depending on what you're going to be printing on, what product you want, what your local lab is going to be printing on, whether it's canvas, photo paper, aluminum, they may request you have CMYK, but typically when we're setting up things later on in the process, RGB would be the standard. There is an advanced tab here. It may or may not be selected, so we can just drop that down. And the next biggest thing is your color profile. That's one of the easiest things to double check that usually is off or goes wrong when it comes to printing. So our color mode is in RGB, so we want to match our color profile to sRGB. There's a million different options for color profile. This one, the sRGB, is the standard one. So when you open up Photoshop, this will be the standard. This wasn't one that we specially selected. It was the default. And typically when you're setting up files, the defaults are typically the ones to go with. So for this one, it's the sRGB IEC 61966-2.1. So now that we have everything in this dialog box, let's go ahead and hit OK. So that will conclude this video. In the next one, we're going to go over how to prepare your files when exporting. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.